My ex-wife Sandy and I got married young. Too young. I wasn't done with the university and she was fresh out of high school. We were pressured by our families. It's a religious thing. We didn't live together until a year and a half later when I finished my degree. I'm not in great shape, I'm not particularly handsome, although my mom says I am. I also spent much time at work during the first 3 years of my career getting a running start. I'm ashamed to say I neglected Sandy. When we had our daughter, I re-examined my life and made them a priority. Unfortunately, it was too little too late. Sandy left me. It hurt. It hurt more when she moved on and left our daughter with me. She said that she was still young and that her family and I had taken years of her youth away and now it was her turn to enjoy it. I felt a lot of guilt over what she said. For the record, I didn't particularly want to be married either. I said that I didn't want to hold her back so I wouldn't take child support. We went to court and I got full custody. She got visitation, which she only very rarely used, like 4 times last year. It's been 5 years and my daughter and I are doing fine. I have a great job now and I can work from home. I take my daughter to school, pick her up and leave my work in my office when we're together. I have also withdrawn from the church my parents attend. Recently, Sandy has been bugging me about parenting decisions. I told her that I would raise my daughter as I saw fit. She said that she was her mother and deserved a say. Her husband chimed in that I was not doing a proper job of parenting and that they were considering going back to court for custody. As soon as he mentioned lawyers, I hung up and called mine. She is a bulldog. She immediately filed for child support, including back child support for the last 5 years. I've been hearing from everyone that I'm cruel going after her for money. Full disclosure, I make close to 5 times their combined income. I don't need their money, but if I can use the law to get her to leave us alone, I will. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This woman abandons her husband and daughter to go enjoy life and wants to give advice on raising your daughter? I don't think your attorney is out of line for filing for child support and/or back support. You're sending a message loud and clear to back off. Chances are the ex hasn't changed that much and is now feeling the heat of having to explain to others why she doesn't share custody of her daughter. It's also due to religious reasons. Going in hard like you did was a good move. Keeping with the quarterly visits is good for now or until your ex proves she will not abandon your daughter again. That kind of rejection lasts a lifetime. Every little one needs to know they're worth fighting for, so keep fighting for her. I got the vibe they would try to take the kid and get child support money since OP's doing so well. They see money because he earns 5 times their combined income. It wasn't a smart move to let them know your income. Do not underestimate the greed for money. She can't play mom when it's convenient for her. If she wants to be the mom, she also needs to take on the financial responsibility and tell her husband to shut the heck up. It's a strategy of logical self-protection too. The best defense is a good offense and all that. If the ex and her new husband file for custody first, there's a risk that a judge might look at them and say, well, OP's managed well enough on his own so far, but clearly the child would do better in a 2-parent family, and the child deserves not to lose out on their current lifestyle, so OP needs to pay child maintenance. The ex-wife's new husband sees that kid as a cash cow. Whereas if OP files for child maintenance first, then any custody claim that mom makes is going to be seen under the shadow of that 5-year abandonment of her legal responsibilities as a parent. To make that claim for custody, she will first need to prove she's serious about parenting by paying off that debt. OP got a great lawyer. The ex-wife is experiencing a mess around and find out moment and a shocked Pikachu face that her plan backfired. This situation is just a mess all around. My now ex-fiancée, 27 female, and I, 26 male, had been dating for a little over 4 years when I asked her to marry, and she said yes. Now here's the problem. As we were planning the new house we were going to buy, I talked to her about a room for my mother, 60s, as she'd lived with us after we got married. I discussed with her a lot of times when we were dating that my mom would live with us because, simply put, I'm an only child, and my mom raised me as a single mother after she divorced my father, abuse. She never had a new boyfriend, nor did she ever remarry. Her entire life was dedicated to raising me alone. Also, my mom and I are each other's only living relatives. We have no family beside each other. My fiancée said that she didn't want my mother living with us. When I asked about why, she didn't say anything when we were dating. She said she thought I'd get over it and we could put her in a home, and I absolutely refused. I was furious because my mom had always treated her as her own daughter and had never been one of those crazy mother-in-laws who were rude and evil. I gave her an ultimatum that if my mother couldn't live with us, we wouldn't get married, and yeah, we broke up. Now her side of the family and her friends are calling me an idiot, but I don't think I did anything wrong since I made it clear when we were dating that my mother would live with us. So, am I the idiot? Edit. I should have mentioned this, but our family has a history of dementia settling in around the early 60s, and my mother has started to show signs of forgetfulness. That's why I want to keep her as close as possible. I will be the primary caregiver. She has plenty of savings to cover the cost of her treatment and 2 apartments in her name. One she currently lives in, one we've put on rent. After moving her in with me, I will sell one of them and hire a full-time nurse after her dementia starts getting worse. We were never planning on having children, nor did I expect her to quit her job or stay home to care for my mother. I understand that it'll be tough and it should be mainly my responsibility, but she raised me through tough times all on her own, and I will not turn my back on her now that it's my time to help her. My mother has only recently started showing signs of dementia. Up until a few years ago, she was doing just fine, but now her health is slowly starting to deteriorate. We are independently wealthy due to my mother's founding and then selling her own company. Money will not be an issue and I can easily hire help, but my fiancé just wanted to put mom in a home and be done with it. The property value for both apartments is quite high, at least above 7 or 8 million. My mother built up her own company, so she has a lot of savings and investments, and money was never an issue. Not the idiot. However, you must consider things from her viewpoint. It's quite the load, to put it mildly, to live with a dementia patient. You're essentially committing both of you to years of emotional abuse and dependence at the hands of an uncontrollable person. It's absolutely soul-sucking and draining. I'm trying not to be bitter and mean when I say this. OP likely won't find anyone to commit to that with him. I came here to say this. We are caretakers for my elderly father-in-law, who has dementia that is progressing. OP has no damn clue what he's getting into. Looking back, I wouldn't do it again. Do I regret it? No, but I've learned my lesson, or whatever the universe was trying to show me. But she knew the drill from the start. She just thought she could get him to change his mind. She was hoping that once they reached this stage in their relationship, he would choose her over his mother. Yeah, you're not the idiot. I'm not sure why she thought you were kidding. But you know how she feels now, and as they say, it's better to know now before you're married. Sorry, but you're a good person. After seeing your edit that your mom's estate is worth at least 7 or 8 million, I find your solution unreasonable. You are the idiot. You have a lot of options besides the ones you've proposed. Married couples need privacy, especially in those first few years. Buy a big home with an enormous in-law suite and a full-time caretaker, or put her in a top-of-the-line retirement community. A lot of the nice ones have net worth requirements. Putting her in a nice care home is 100% an option. I'm currently 2 months from being married to the love of my life, Claire. I don't think my mom is a big fan of her or vice versa, but this isn't some crazy mother-in-law story. My mom hasn't done anything. It's just a tense, awkward feeling when they're both together. Claire admits to not liking my mom and sharing my suspicion that my mom doesn't like her. I watch carefully for any actual disrespect, but unfortunately, I can't make them like each other. Claire is upset because my mom doesn't have a dress yet. All of Claire's family and friends are over the moon about this wedding, and mother-in-law has had her dress picked for months and even had a big shopping day with Claire. My mom keeps saying she hasn't had time yet, which has been stressful for Claire, as she's a huge perfectionist who hates leaving anything until the last moment. Claire admits she's been super stressed and wedding obsessed lately. She recently came to me and said she was concerned my mom wanted to wear white. I asked why, and she said, why else wouldn't she have a dress yet? I pointed out that we all know my mom is lazy and selfish. When she says she's too busy, we both know she means skiing and hanging out with a boyfriend, not actually busy, but she's done nothing to indicate she would show up like that. She's a pretty chill person and hasn't done anything to Claire. Claire said I was implying she was paranoid. I said I felt the wedding stress was getting to her. She admitted it was, but asked if I would talk to my mom. I said sure, I'd remind her that she needs to get a dress. Claire asked if I would specifically talk to her about the fear of wearing white. I thought about it for a minute and said I wasn't comfortable doing that when she'd given us no reason to think she would. Claire got annoyed and said she was being a crappy future mother-in-law by not having a dress, and that I needed to stop worrying about my mom's feelings and worry more about hers. That made me feel like crap because up until this point, I felt I'd only been prioritizing her feelings. I don't think you're an idiot, but tell your mom to stop procrastinating and get a dress. It's your mom, you need to address it. The wedding is 2 months away. Formal dresses usually need to be altered, and if you go to a boutique or wedding clothing store, the right size may need to be ordered. 2 months away could definitely be too late for some dresses. By the way, my mother-in-law totally wore a white dress to my wedding. These people do exist. Yep, I'm just here to say my mother-in-law was fully planning to wear a white lace gown to our wedding until my husband, fiancé at the time, explained why she definitely should pick another colour. Oh, and apparently, all the sales ladies and her friend at the shop also thought nothing of this. It still baffles me since my mother-in-law is very proper and she had no clue this was frowned upon. We got along great at the time and she even insisted on buying my dress for me as my mother had passed away. Dude, don't be surprised by Claire's call to your mom. You say you know your mom is selfish and then backtrack to Claire being paranoid. Do you know your wife should be the most important woman in your life? Just call your mom, ask her about her dress, and give your fiancé some peace. If you have to, take her shopping and get it done. You would rather your fiancé suffer so you don't have to upset your lazy and selfish mommy. You are the idiot and grow a spine. I, 32 female, have been split from my daughter's pre-tween dad, 31, for over 7 years. We split when she was almost a year old and have finally become amicable with one another about co-parenting. A month ago, his fiancée, 21 female, announced she was pregnant. My daughter was thrilled to have a new sibling on the way, as I have decided not to have any more. Our custody arrangement is currently every other weekend, but for the most part, if he asks to take her for something, I have no problem with that. It's not often reciprocated, but that's another topic. Now on to the issue. Her stepmom's first baby appointment is next week. Her dad asked if he could pull our daughter from school to take her with him so she could see what the process is like. I said no, I didn't think it was appropriate, that she wouldn't be having a stomach ultrasound, and that if he wanted to take his daughter to the gender appointment, that was fine. Still, with this being the initial one, and just checking to see how far along, how mom and baby are doing, etc., I didn't feel that was something she needed to miss school for. He then told me I was being a controlling, jealous witch because I wasn't having any more, and I was keeping our daughter from seeing the miracle of life happen, along with the process of how pregnancy works. He then went on to say he wanted her to come to every appointment, not just the initial one, and that it's his daughter too, and he gets to say on what she's exposed to as well. Again, I said I understood where he was coming from, but she was also young and didn't need to be at every appointment. Again, if she wanted to go to the gender ultrasound, that was completely fine with me. She still has school and doesn't need to miss it for these appointments. She's been beginning to ask questions about where babies come from. I've done my best to answer honestly, and she knows about periods and that there are different anatomies that, when put together, create life. However, I just don't feel she needs to miss school to attend her stepmom's doctor appointments. My friends are torn. Some say I should just let her go and not hold her as a pawn. Others side with me and think it's a little strange that she doesn't need to be at every single one, even the initial one. So, am I the idiot? Yikes. The biggest reason not to take a child to these early OB appointments is because there's still such a high chance of pregnancy loss. There's absolutely no reason to put a child her age in a situation where she's potentially going to witness that tragic news. Let her keep some ultrasound pics, take a video of the heartbeat if OB allows it, involve her that way, and sure, bring her along to the 20-week anatomy scan. You are not the idiot. Exactly. I was at a routine pregnancy appointment once when I found out I'd lost my baby. Everything had been great until then, and I was past the usual risk in my second trimester. Aside from that, I was so grateful I didn't have my kids with me. It's a doctor's appointment. They may talk or ask about things you won't want to discuss in front of a child. Having a toddler with you is one thing because you don't have a babysitter. It's super irresponsible to take your child out of school for a medical exam like this. Your ex sounds unhinged. That's why he's with a 21-year-old now. That's where mental and emotional maturity is. Don't engage in jealous or liar comments, but make a note of them. I communicate only by text so you have a record. It's not holding your child as a pawn either to say they shouldn't miss school to attend their stepmom's doctor appointments. That's pretty crazy. Though you say you guys are now amicable about co-parenting, he does not seem to share this feeling. I, 38 male, and my wife, 39, are doing pretty well for ourselves. We're not buy a Bugatti rich, but we're doing well. Most of my wife's family lives in the US. Her parents have done pretty good for themselves and are retired. On the other hand, my wife's siblings are a more complex story. Her brother is in pharmacy school, and her other siblings, 4 of them excluding the brother I just mentioned and my wife, are job hopping and, my wife's words not mine, seem to have no determination for some direct in their lives. Well, one of her sisters, 20 or 21, got pregnant. She said she's sure she has possibilities of who the dad might be, but in this case, I feel like possibilities is a very bad word here. And my wife, upon hearing the news, immediately jumps to how we are going to help her. She also talks about how we can help with childcare. We live in Georgia and her family is very tight-knit here, monetary aid, etc. And I tell her, with whose money? Because I know you're not talking about my money. She gave me the stink eye and continued on. And even though after all of our expenses we have a bit to play with, I like having that bit to play with. And I sure as heck don't want to give it to someone who doesn't even know who the father of her own kid is. I told my wife all this, and she just called me selfish and walked away. So, yeah, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and I don't like how your wife unilaterally decided to give your joint money to her sister. As for knowing or not knowing who the father is, that's really irrelevant to the story. You're saying it to make her look bad, which is unnecessary. Having a baby you can't afford at age 20 is irresponsible enough. Supporting her family is a never-ending treadmill. Do you really want to get on it? Not knowing who the father is irrelevant to the story. I disagree. It really is relevant because the sister should be getting paternity tests for all the daddy candidates and then filing for child support so she doesn't need as much assistance. And how many possibilities are there, for goodness sake? Whoever is the father needs to take responsibility, not you, OP. Your wife will end up enabling her.